After I woke up from emergency surgery, the first thing I did was grab my phone. The ICU was quiet except for the steady beep, beep, beep of the monitor beside my bed. My body felt heavy, like it didn't fully belong to me yet. The anesthesia was still wearing off. But there was only one thought in my mind. Kevin, my husband. I called him immediately. It rang once, twice, then went to voicemail. So I texted, Kevin, I'm in the hospital. They just did emergency surgery. Please come. For a moment I stared at the screen, waiting for those 3 little dots that show someone is typing. 30 seconds passed. Then my phone buzzed. His reply appeared. I'm at the company retreat with Megan. I can't leave right now. It would look bad. I read the message again. And again. My chest hurt. But not from the surgery. I typed back slowly. My hands shaking. Kevin, I almost died. My appendix ruptured. Another pause. Then his second message arrived. Megan needs help with her presentation tomorrow. Just take an Uber home when they discharge you. Sorry, babe. In that moment something inside me cracked. Quietly but completely. 7 years of marriage. And my husband was choosing a PowerPoint presentation over the ICU. So I typed one word. Okay. Kevin didn't realize it yet. But that single word would end our entire marriage. And what HR discovered 2 days later would make him wish he had never sent that text. Because while I was lying in intensive care, Kevin wasn't helping Megan with a presentation. He was doing something much worse. And there was security footage to prove it. 12 hours earlier, everything had felt normal. Or at least the kind of normal you convince yourself is fine when something in your gut keeps whispering that it isn't. I woke up at 6:15 a.m., like I had almost every weekday for the past 7 years. The kitchen was quiet. Early sunlight spilled across the counter while I started the coffee machine. 2 shots of espresso. Oat milk. 1 raw sugar. Kevin's coffee. Some habits become so automatic you don't even think about them anymore. Kevin was already sitting at the kitchen table when I walked in. But he wasn't really there. His eyes were glued to his phone, and there was a small smile on his face. Not a big one. Just the quiet smile people get when they're texting someone they enjoy talking to. Megan? I asked casually. He didn't even look up. Yeah, he said, typing. She's stressing about the retreat again. Of course she was. For months now Megan had been stressing about something. A project. A meeting. A deadline. Somehow Kevin always needed to be the one helping her. The venue changed some things last minute, he said. She's kind of panicking. I set his coffee down in front of him. You'll still come to my presentation today, right? I asked. That finally made him pause. Just for a second. I'll try, he said. Try. 7 years of marriage. And showing up for his wife had somehow become optional. But if Megan needs help tonight, he added, I might stay at the retreat. I nodded like it didn't bother me. But something about the way he said her name, the way his face lit up while texting, made a quiet knot form in my chest. Because Megan hadn't always been part of our lives. She had only appeared 8 months earlier. And from the moment I met her, something about her attention toward my husband felt just a little too comfortable. At the time, I told myself I was imagining things. But looking back now, that morning at the kitchen table was the moment. I should have realized something was already very wrong. And by the end of the day, that quiet feeling in my gut would turn into something far worse. The presentation started at 2 p.m. sharp. The conference room was full. Department heads, board members, even a few investors had joined the call. This was the biggest campaign our company had pitched all year. I had spent 3 months building it: research, strategy, creative direction, everything. Kevin stood at the front of the room beside the screen. And Megan stood next to him. That alone felt strange. She wasn't supposed to present. She had only been with the company for 8 months. But before I could question it, Kevin cleared his throat and started speaking. "Before we begin today's presentation," he said, "there's been a change in leadership direction." My stomach tightened. I thought he meant adjustments to the campaign. Maybe revisions. Maybe feedback from investors. But then he said something that made the entire room go quiet. "Effective immediately," Kevin continued, "I'll be taking over full creative control of the company. Megan will be stepping in as our new creative director." For a second, I thought I misheard him. Creative director? That was my position. People around the table started exchanging confused looks. Janet from accounts actually leaned forward. "Kevin, what are you saying?" she asked. He smiled the same calm corporate smile he used with investors. "Lisa's contributions have been valuable," he said slowly. "But as the company grows, we need stronger leadership and creative strategy." My chest felt tight. Valuable? Like I was some intern who had helped with a summer project. "Kevin," I said quietly, "this campaign is mine." He didn't even look at me. "Security will help you gather your things." The door behind me opened. 2 security guards stepped inside. For 10 years I had built that company. Late nights, endless meetings, sacrifices Kevin used to promise we were making together. And now I was being escorted out of my own office like I was stealing something. Outside in the parking lot, they handed me a cardboard box with my belongings. Awards, diplomas, a photo of my team. 10 years of work, reduced to 14 inches of cardboard. But as I stood there staring at that box, something unexpected happened. My phone rang. The call was from First National Bank, and what the woman on the other end told me made my heart drop, because Kevin hadn't just taken my job. He had just tried to take $500,000 from the company too. By the time I reached my mother's house that evening, the shock had finally started turning into something else. Anger, real cold anger. Amy arrived 20 minutes later with her law partner, David. They spread documents across my mom's dining table like they were preparing for war. And honestly, that's exactly what it was. David listened carefully while I explained everything. The meeting, the firing, the bank call. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and tapped his pen against the table. "Did you freeze the accounts?" he asked. "Yes," I said. A small smile appeared on his face. "Good." Amy crossed her arms. "Which means Kevin didn't actually get the money," she said. David nodded. "Not only that, he just committed attempted fraud." My mom gasped from the kitchen, but David wasn't finished. He flipped open another folder and slid a document toward me. "Remember the papers Amy asked you to sign 6 months ago?" he said. Of course I remembered. Back then I thought Amy was just being overly cautious after I told her about the suspicious hotel receipt I'd found in Kevin's expense report. I had almost refused to sign them. Almost. "What about them?" I asked. Amy leaned forward. "Those papers transferred 60% of your shares to me as a silent partner." For a moment I didn't understand what she meant. Then it hit me. My eyes widened. "Wait, that means..." Amy smiled. "That means Kevin doesn't control the company." David finished the sentence calmly. "You do." The room went completely silent. Kevin thought he had just removed me from the company. But legally, he had just tried to steal money from a business he no longer controlled. David closed the folder. "Tomorrow morning we file a fraud complaint," he said. Amy nodded. "And at 10 a.m, we call an emergency board meeting." My heart started beating faster. "Why 10? Amy's smile turned sharp. "Because Kevin is planning to present your campaign to the Peterson clients at 2 o'clock. I stared at her. "He's going to claim it's his idea," she continued. David adjusted his glasses. "But here's the interesting part." He looked directly at me. "If Amy calls the board meeting first, Kevin might not even be the CEO by lunchtime." And suddenly, for the first time all day, I realized something. Kevin thought he had already won. But tomorrow morning, he was walking straight into a trap. The next morning, everything moved fast. By 9:30 a.m., Amy, David, and I walked into the Sterling and Associates office. The same office Kevin had thrown me out of less than 24 hours earlier. The same lobby. The same glass doors. Even the same security guard looked confused when he saw me. But Amy calmly showed him the paperwork. Majority shareholder, she said. That was enough. We walked straight into the conference room. Kevin was already there, sitting at the head of the table like nothing had happened. Chelsea sat beside him, flipping through a presentation file. My presentation. When Kevin saw me walk in, his face instantly turned red. What is she doing here? He snapped. Amy didn't even look at him. I invited her, she said calmly. Kevin laughed. You can't just bring people into board meetings. David opened his briefcase and placed a document on the table. Actually, she can. Kevin's smile disappeared. Amy slid the share transfer papers across the table. Since March, she said, I've owned 60% of this company. The room went silent. Kevin stared at the papers like they were written in another language. That's impossible, he muttered. David leaned forward. Also, he added casually, the bank flagged your attempt to transfer $520,000 from company accounts yesterday. Now every single person in the room was staring at Kevin. Janet from accounting spoke first. Kevin. Kevin's voice cracked. That's not theft. That's asset restructuring. David calmly placed another document down. Actually, it's called fraud. Kevin looked around the table desperately. But something unexpected happened. One by one, my team started standing up. Sarah stood first. I quit, she said. Then Janet. I quit too. Then the rest of them. Every single person Kevin thought he controlled walked away from him. Kevin looked like the ground had disappeared under his feet. Amy raised her hand. Let's proceed with the vote, she said. She looked around the room. All in favor of removing Kevin Sterling as CEO for fraud and misconduct. Every hand went up, except Kevin's. Amy nodded once. Motion passed. Then she looked at him. You're fired. Security escorted Kevin out of the building, the same way he had tried to escort me the day before. But the story didn't end there. 2 weeks later, prosecutors charged him with embezzlement and corporate fraud. 3 months after that, Kevin pleaded guilty. 2 years in prison. $500,000 fine. And Sterling and Associates? We changed the name. Because it was never really his company. Now the sign on the office building says only one name. Chan and Associates. Mine. Funny thing is, Kevin tried to take everything from me in one day. But in the end, all he really did was prove that the company had always been mine.